Oh, that's a nice mask. What is that? Oh, it's William Shatner mask turned inside out. That's very clever. All right, hey, two, three, four. Ba da dee da 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 da. Stid it do da do ba da. Ba da beep ba 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 da. It's Wednesday. I'm gonna die. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first non-new comic book day in recorded history. Well, at least since new comic book day became a thing. But, I did go. Or am I going to do picks of the week first or picks of the last? Yeah, that's right. So even though there are no new comic books today, I'm still doing picks of the week. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-dow. So, I don't know about your local comic shop, but mine is still managing to do some mail order and delivery business. If you live in the Van Nuys area, you can reach out to Galaxy of Comics. They're in the phone book, I'm sure, or the digital equivalent thereof. So, and they are doing currently. So since there aren't any new comics coming out this week, I still wanted to throw money around that I don't really have. I still wanted to support the shop, and they do have currently a buy two get one free sale for trade paperbacks. So the first thing I saw in Warren's Instagram post was this here hardcover, The DC Universe by Len Wein, or Len Wein. I've never figured out exactly how to pronounce his name. This is a nice, pretty hardcover. $35. It's not a drop in the bucket exactly, but this is a really pretty book. And I kind of felt like, since I'm normally such a Marvel zombie, that it would be nice to kind of reach out and read some DC stuff, especially collections like this. They did one for Alan Moore's early DC work, and it was really good. Len Wein is probably most well known for co-creating Wolverine, and he was also the editor that helped screw Alan Moore out of his Watchmen rights. R.I.P. to Len Wein. But yeah, this says the Phantom Stranger miniseries that he did, and it has like one Swamp Thing story, which was actually his biggest work for DC, was on Swamp Thing. But yeah, this is really nice. I'm looking forward to reading it. And that was the one I paid for, and then I also paid for either of these. So when I called down there to order this Len Wein book, Warren was like, "That's buy two get one, or buy two get one free." So you got the DC Universe by Brian K. Vaughan, mostly well known for books like Why the Last Man and Ex Machina, and also for the TV show Lost. And then you got Mike Mignola, most well known for being the creator of Hellboy, but also well before Hellboy started, he was well established as mighty fine artist indeed. I probably won't get to all these this week. In fact, I'm obviously reading a lot these days since we all have a little extra reading time. But there's no way I'm going to catch up on these. Another pick of the week that you can't see is there are publishers, smaller publishers so far. TKO, Scout Comics, and Black Mass Comics are three publishers that I know of. There might be more, who are doing a thing now where if you go to their website and you mail order some of their stuff, they will give 50% of those proceeds to the comic shop of your choice. So I chose mine. Those haven't arrived. In fact, they should be getting here tomorrow, I want to say. Maybe even today. And I'll show you guys what I got, because some of those I got them from TKO. I haven't ordered anything from Scout or Black Mask yet. But TKO is a publisher that I was only vaguely familiar with because they released a Garth Ennis book entitled Sarah that had gotten right past me. I didn't even see it when it was out in single issues, but they do have the trade paperback. Sorry, I had to adjust a book. So I got that, and there is another one by Jeff Lemire, and a third one by some creators that I'm not very familiar with, but it looked really good. So I'll be less vague when those actually get here. So that's it for the picks of the week. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Now picks of the other time. So this was one of the books I got last week. This is Punisher Soviet number 6. I'm extremely pleased, not just for the sake of being able to read the end of this story, but also just my collector compulsion is satisfied that I have all 6 issues of this, because as we'll see with the next one, not so much. So this is a book that I had talked about a few weeks ago, but I felt the need to talk about it again because it was so good. This is a book about Frank Castle meets who is basically his Soviet counterpart, a fellow by the name of Lieutenant Pronchenko, who had fought in the Russian war in Afghanistan and was on a mission of revenge against one of his superiors who turned out to be a criminal. It was written by Garth Ennis, and it's top shelf Garth Ennis Punisher stuff. I know I have a lot of friends who don't like Garth Ennis's work at all, and even I sometimes have trouble getting around the more cynical and bitter aspects of books like The Boys, even though I love it. But this is when Garth Ennis is writing The Punisher, it's truly what he is meant to be doing. I think he said as much in the late 90s, early 2000s when he started writing Punisher. He's like, this is the book I was born to work on. And I think that if you've ever read any of his stuff, I think that's apparent. Best Punisher stuff ever. It was also drawn by Jason Burrows, who's an artist that grew on me, but is now, like, I would say, top of his game. So I can't recommend this enough. The trade paperback is probably not going to be available for a while. I don't know what the big two, Marvel and DC, are going to do as far as distributing stuff. But and in case you're unaware, that's mostly why there are no new comics. There's only one distributor for comic books, one major distributor anyway. And they are ceasing operations for the duration. So, I mean, that distribution has been a monopoly in the comics field since I was in high school. About 16, I think, is when I was 16 they took over, so that would have been like 92 or 93. And it's never been a good idea. A monopoly in any regard is ridiculous. Hi, I'm I'm Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or Federal Delano Roosevelt. Sorry. Other pick of last week was Road to Empire #1, the Kree Skrull War. I was just about to completely get on board with this crossover until the world ended. The Kree Skrull War, for those of you unversed, was a major event in the pages of the Avengers in the early 70s, written by Roy Thomas and mostly drawn by Neil Adams. I think John Buscema drew some of it too. And it's one of my favorites. I've just been revisiting it on the Marvel Unlimited app, which was why I got all excited for this crossover. So this was going to be the major event of the year. It'd be starting a little earlier than usual. Like from years past, it's always been Marvel would do kind of a smaller crossover at the beginning of the year. And this was the main title Empire was subtitled Avengers Fantastic Four Empire. So I was like, okay, maybe this is going to be but then they had all these other miniseries that tied into the core, and I was like, oh, so this is the major crossover of the year. And I was kind of ho-hum on it. But then I started reading the Kree Skrull War again, and I was like, oh, right, this is one of my favorite aspects of the Marvel Universe. I don't know if you can tell really cool. There's a Skrull family here. Can't remember their last name now. There was a series earlier, or I guess it would have been late last year, called Meet the Skrulls, which I only read well after it had come out on the Marvel Unlimited app. Really fun stuff, though. Really very, if you ever watched the show The Americans, it was very reminiscent of that. And they are central to this storyline, which is another reason I got super into it. So reading this, I say, go make sure you get a copy of this from your local comic shop and give it a read, and then it'll be something to look forward to once Pestilence is finished writing roughshod over the land. Picks up last week. Okay. So what I also wanted to I feel like I do apologize for how boring I'm being. I think it's direct result of being absolutely terrified for my life. But just to wrap up, if you are reading stuff digitally, if you have a tablet or a Kindle like I do, there are two apps that I'm aware of that I use for the library. One is Hoopla, which is directly connected to the Los Angeles County Library. And I think you have to have an LA City or County library account to access it. There's another one called Libby, which apparently you don't. I tried to sign in with my library account, but for some goofy reason it wasn't allowing me to do so. But then I was able to sign in anyway and still get access to it. So here's a few books that I have that you can check out digitally if you don't have the money to support your local comic shop, which I'm sure as fuck not gonna have. I'm sorry for swearing. But hey, here we go. This one's Summer by the Tamaki Girls. This is available on Libby, but not on Hoopla. So depending on what app you're reading or app you're using, adjust accordingly. This was written by Mariko Tamaki and drawn by Jillian Tamaki. I believe they are cousins, not sisters, which is my first assumption. Yeah, I don't remember, and it doesn't say on the flaps here. But anyway, this was a book that came out, I want to say like 2013. Again, I should have maybe prepared a little more. 2014, this came out. And it is a coming-of-age story about two young gals at their family's lake house for the summer. And it's just gorgeous. It looks amazing. And it's very good storytelling. In fact, I think I'm going to put this here so I reread that again. Can't recommend that enough. Again, that's on Libby, and it's probably also at your local comic shop. What else did I have? This here book. This is Marvel Comics The Untold Story, written by Sean Howe. This I could not put down, obviously. But even if you're not a super Marvel dork like myself, this is really very fascinating. It's the most in-depth look at the Marvel Comics group that has ever been published. And as you might imagine, I've read more than a few things about Marvel Comics. Sean Howe was a writer for Rolling Stone, I believe. That's how I knew of him. Or maybe not. Oh, Entertainment Weekly. Yeah. So I think that's how I knew who he was. This also came out around the same time, 2013, 2014. Maybe even 2012, because I remember I was working that dead-end office job in Irvine. But this is available on Libby, and the audiobook is available on Hoopla. Not the regular book, but the audiobook. Hoopla is better for audiobooks if that's your thing. And then finally, today, what I wanted to recommend is another book from around that same time, maybe 2010. Sorry. If it was so important, why didn't I look it up? 2011. This is a book called Infinite Kung Fu by Kagan MacLeod. And it is another gorgeously rendered book. It is very much that marriage of African American culture, black culture, and martial arts, which I find fascinating. I hope that doesn't come off as super racist, but that is something I've noted. There's a lot of, Wu-Tang is super into Kung Fu, obviously. And there's a lot of, I've always really loved blaxploitation films of the 70s and also Kung Fu films of the 70s. And there's a huge overlap in that Venn diagram, which I cannot get enough of. Kagan MacLeod, I first became aware of because he drew this amazing poster called The History of Hip Hop. And it was a drawing of every single rapper, like a little headshot of every single rapper from the beginning, Sugar Hill Gang or whomever, or Houdini maybe even, all the way to 2011 around there. I bought it for my friend Mary, in fact, for her birthday one year. I think it was for her birthday. And it was incredible. And so, yeah, I cannot recommend Infinite Kung Fu enough. It is available on both Libby and Hoopla, so you should check that. Yeah, I'm just going to read all this stuff. And then we can discuss later. So I guess that's about it. I don't know if you guys are on Twitch or whatever, but I just started one, and it's under Jimmy the Worm, and I'm thinking of doing a Marvel Comics trivia show, because I pulled it out of here, but I have the Obsessed with Marvel trivia book. So if you're on Twitch, find me on there, and I'll have more details as they come. Just trying to, fight off the boredom/terror. I guess that's it. I mean, I hope you guys are okay. Oh, I don't think I've mentioned this before, or at least not lately. I have a music podcast called The Worm Turns with Jimmy Calloway. There's new episodes every Thursday. And so if you like rock and or roll music, that's good to check out. I'm also still doing the thing where if you Venmo me whatever you can pay, I give all of that money to Meals on Wheels. I don't take a piece or anything. And then I make you a playlist to your specifications. You tell me whatever bands you like, whatever bands you don't like, whatever genres you like, whatever genres you don't like, and I build you a 16-track playlist. I mean, it'll be one MP3 track until I figure out how to use M3U files. But that's fun, and they've been coming out really good. And I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I don't have that many applicable skills in a time like this. I have zero. But one thing I can do is build really hot playlists. So I'm trying to, utilize that. And I feel like there was something else, and now I don't remember. Oh, yeah, of course. My friend Mary Jane French and I, the very funny and talented Mary Jane French, and myself have started another podcast about sitcoms specifically. She and I are huge sitcom buffs, and so we are watching TV shows together and then discussing them, each episode. So the first one we did was Party Down, which is a television series from 2009 until 2010. Super good. One I'd always wanted to watch, and I finally got around to it. The podcast is called Upstream, 2 words, with Jimmy and Midge, and it is on Stitcher, and I believe on Spotify, and it should be on iTunes pretty soon, and I think that's it so far. But we did the entirety of Party Down, all 20 episodes, so all 20 episodes of our podcast about Party Down are available now. We're going to start Wings next, and then I think we're going to do Faulty Towers simultaneously. We're going to do a longer one and a shorter one simultaneously, so we'll have new episodes of both each week. And it's a lot of fun. Mary Jane and I have we've only been friends for a couple of years since she just moved to LA, but it's nice watching our friendship grow, or hearing it. You can't really see the podcast that great. So check that out as well. I guess that's everything for now. Fuck. Sorry, swore again, but also we're all going to die pretty soon, so who gives a fuck? I guess that'll do it for this week, everybody. Thanks for dropping by. We will see you again next week. 2, 3, 4. Ba da dee ba doo ba da. Stid it ba 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 dee ba. Sorry again for how boring I'm being.